that we have been asking throughout the day. In fact, I think the sheriff is just about set to go with his press conference. So let's turn to the sheriff and listen in. He'll give us an update tonight.
Well, what we've learned today is that our 16-year-old student suspect has felt like he's been bullied for some time by a couple students. Last night he planned the event that occurred today. We believe that the shotgun came from his residence. We believe it belonged to a sibling of his. We have video of him entering the school, trying to conceal the shotgun. The video shows that he's extremely nervous. He takes an entrance into the school that is not the normal entrance, but around to the side entrance. When he entered the classroom, he entered through the front part of the class, and he circled around, and his first victim stood up, and he shot his first victim, who then fell. The students scrambled out the back door, and some ran to the back of the class, and as that was occurring, he fired a second round at the group that was fleeing, and miraculously didn't injure anyone. Some of the students went to a storage closet at the rear of the classroom where they barricaded themselves in. Others exited out the back door. He then fired one more round that at the window area of the classroom. At that time, the teacher, Ryan Heber, engaged him in conversation. The campus supervisor, Kim Lee Fields, showed up and helped engage in conversation while he's holding the shotgun. And for several seconds, while they conversed with him, I think at one point he made the statement he didn't want to shoot the teacher, and ultimately he put the shotgun down. About that time, the Taft PD officers responded, and sheriff's deputies behind them, and he was taken into custody.
Can you release his name yet?
He's a juvenile, and of course we don't release juveniles' names by law.
Sheriff, earlier today we'd heard rumors that perhaps the student accused in this shooting had been involved or investigated for some kind of a hit list incident last year. What can you tell us about that?
I can tell you that we are investigating that angle. There's probably a likelihood that something like that occurred. We've heard it from several different people. We're still interrogating the suspect, but we believe there were some issues that may be correct, but we just haven't been able to substantiate for sure yet.
And the latest on the condition of the injured student?
He is still in critical condition, but stable.
Sheriff, has he expressed remorse, the shooter?
I have not sat in on the interviews, and that's not a question that I have.
Has he been charged with anything?
He is not. They're still interrogating, but he will be charged with attempted murder.
Do we believe the victim actually directly bullied the shooter?
I have no information whether a bullying actually occurred. All I know is that there's a perception from the person that fired the shotgun that he had been a victim of bullying.
The victim's 15 years old?
16.
Both the victim and the suspect are 16?
I believe they're all 16 is what I've been told.
Earlier today, everyone talked about the heroic actions of this teacher. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating when most people in their lifetime they're never confronted by someone that has just shot someone and is armed with a gun. This teacher and this counselor stood there face to face, not knowing whether he's going to turn that shotgun on them, and because they've seen the news media throughout our country in the last several months, and they probably expected the worst and hoped for the best, but they gave their students a chance to escape and conversed, and it worked. And their conversation, whatever they said, compelled him to put the firearm down.
Are you guys releasing any names of the victims involved?
We are not.
Sheriff, how long was the conversation between the supervisor and the teacher?
I really don't know how long the conversation went. It's hard to judge because when those events occur, it's like an officer-involved shooting. Sometimes things go in slow motion. The teacher originally told me that he wasn't sure how many rounds were fired, and I said that's not unusual. You probably won't remember because things happen so rapidly.
I understand a search warrant was served earlier today at the house. Any word on what they were looking for?
Anytime we have an incident where we have a shooter, we're going to serve a search warrant and make sure that there's not evidence of other plans, other victims, other firearms, things that we don't want to leave anything unturned. This school is being searched, every classroom, every backpack, every book, to make sure we don't leave anything here.
Earlier today you said that the suspected shooter had 20 more shells in his pocket. Is that what we still believe?
I asked a few minutes ago, and they still don't know how many, but the the evidence is his pockets were full, so he had a lot of rounds.
You say that there was some motive that he was bullied, but do you have any specific reason why he may have gone after the certain people that he did?
Well, certainly he believed that the two people that he targeted had bullied him in his mind. Whether that occurred or not, we don't know yet. This is really early in the investigation. You know, sometimes people perceive one thing when something else is occurring, and we don't know the answer to that yet.
Sheriff, any idea of what kind of bullying he encountered?
I do not.
We've been told that he had a hit list and was suspended in the past for having a hit list.
And we're researching the potential hit list. I have no evidence of it. The detectives are definitely asking those questions of him. And whether he's been suspended in the past, I don't have the answer to that.
Will the shooter be charged as an adult, and will his name be released?
He'll be arrested as a juvenile. It's not the law enforcement's function to decide whether to prosecute someone as a juvenile or an adult. That'll be up to the district attorney.
What's the chronology of the shooters?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The chronology of the shooter's actions this morning. Was he at school, left home, and then came back?
No, he did not come to school this morning. He waited till class started, and then he left his house with the shotgun.
Does the shooter have any sort of juvenile record, any problems with the law in the past?
I wouldn't be able to give it to you if I knew it.
But does he have one?
I wouldn't be able to give it to you if I had it, and I don't have it.
Chief Whiting, is there anything else you wanted to say?
Not at this time. The sheriff's been very thorough.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, what else can you tell us about his plans? You said that he planned this last night. What else can you tell us? I mean,
all I know is that we know that this started for him last night and culminated this morning. When he went to bed last night, in his mind, he knew what he was going to do today.
Is the owner of the gun facing any charges?
The owner of the gun is his brother, that we believe, and we'll look at that and see. You know, it's not illegal to possess a shotgun in your house.
You had said earlier that the teacher had taken one small pellet to the forehead. Can you talk about that again and how serious that was?
When I talked to the teacher this morning, I didn't even notice it, and he didn't mention it, but he did get a pellet here. You could see, when we checked, one pellet had struck here. We had another female student who injured her ankle falling over a desk trying to get away. We had another student, I think, that had hearing issues because the shotgun was so close to her head when it went off. So, you know, there may be other issues. There may be mental health issues that the school and that parents have to deal with. This is something that no 16-year-old ought to have to go through, let alone 28 in a classroom.
Did he have other people that he was going to target had the teacher not stopped him?
I have no idea whether.
What was part of his plan?
We will never know what his plan was. I don't think that he probably knew what his plan was. So we won't know what might have occurred had that teacher and that counselor not stepped in, and thank God we won't ever know.
But there was a second intended victim, I think you said earlier.
There was.
Did the suspect have any known mental health issues?
I couldn't tell you if he did.
Do you know anything about the young man who was shot? We heard he was an athlete.
I do not have any information on that.
Sheriff, any idea how long this bullying might have been going on? Was it the beginning of the school year? Has it been ongoing on the last?
I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not sure there was any bullying that occurred. I'm sure that there's a perception that there was, and there may have been, but it's been some time in this person's mind.
Some time meaning in the last year?
Over a year, yes.
Over a year.
You talked about the efforts of the teacher, so he talked him, in essence, out of the gun with a pellet in his head that was after he had been
I believe he probably didn't even know that he was hit. I think that the counselor and the teacher probably engaged him in conversation, which was somewhat of a distraction for allowing other students to escape. And in these situations, if you can get a person that has done something like this to engage in conversation with you, you're halfway home. It's when they won't converse with you that things happen rather quickly and sadly.
Were they trained to do that? Was that part of their training?
You know, they're teachers, and obviously they inherently love and care about their children in their classroom. And I think what they did exhibits exactly that feeling that they have for their kids.
What role will the feds play in all this?
They won't. This is not a federal case. They won't have a role. But I wanted them here because of the national events that have been occurring. We in law enforcement communicate extremely well, and probably better in this county than any place. And so we wanted the FBI there. All right. Thank you all very much for your patience today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.